We have a pair of IPO celebrations on tap today. After Forgent rings this morning's opening bell, Pattern Hair Loss Solutions biopharma Veradermics will ring the closing bell this afternoon. Since the company rang its first trade bell and went public on February 4th, shares of MANE have popped by 159% since pricing its IPO. Joining me now is Dr. Reid Waldman. He is the CEO of Veradermics. Dr. Waldman, welcome to the New York Stock Exchange and congratulations.
Thank you so much for having me, Ashley. We are so excited for how the last week is gone, and we're so excited about what's to come.
Well, tell us, what is Veradermics?
So Veradermics is an aesthetics and dermatology-focused pharmaceutical company with initial development trying to disrupt the 80 million person pattern hair loss market. And in essence, we are developing what's called a minoxidil extended release tablet. And you may be familiar with minoxidil because it's the active ingredient that's in Rogaine, right? It's validated for the treatment of hair loss. It also exists as an oral product that is a blood pressure medication. And that blood pressure medication, when taken, will spike in the blood quickly. Within 2 hours, the majority of it's gone. Within 4 hours, almost all of it's gone. So we set out with the mindset that we could optimize minoxidil for oral administration, maximization of hair growth, and the reduction of potential side effects by developing an extended release tablet that would provide consistent and durable exposures of minoxidil throughout the day at the hair follicle.
Where are you in development of this? What stage are you in?
So we're in late stage development, meaning that we have 3 ongoing phase 3 clinical trials, 2 in males, 1 in females, and we actually just announced breaking news this week, which is that we have completed enrollment in both male phase 3 trials. So over 1,000 males are on study drug at this point, and we are positioned based on that male data to file for a marketing application in men.
What are some of the results that you've seen so far?
So we announced phase 2 data in October of last year, and it was very exciting. We saw that the treatment is fast with visible results as early as 2 months, that it's consistent with an extremely high rate of clinically meaningful response, that it's intense with industry-leading objective changes in hair while maintaining tolerability, the convenience of being an oral pill, and having the advancement into late-stage clinical trials.
All right, and your IPO was oversubscribed. What does that investor demand signal about confidence in the treatment?
So while I can't speak to why people are buying in the market, what we do know, or what we do believe, is that there is significant value in being a late-stage company that is developing a treatment based on biology that is validated, right? Minoxidil is validated for hair, but that is optimized to meet the demands of the patient population, right? This is a population where there are 80 million people. There has not been an oral approval in males in 30 years. There has never been an oral approval in females. And this is a market that we see characterized by desperation and frustration. And we believe if we can deliver an oral treatment that actually can regrow hair, that has the opportunity to be very meaningful to those 80 million individuals.
And how do you plan to allocate the capital raised in the IPO?
Yes, so the capital for the IPO is primarily being utilized for pre-commercial activities, an NDA approval, and upon approval, commercialization. So all of this is really beyond the trials for preparing this for market. And
why list on the NYSE now?
So we've been very excited to be the New York Stock Exchange. I think if you look around, right, it's very clear that this is an exciting place, and the visibility, the credibility that we've gotten, and the investment that NYSE is clearly making in biotech has been very meaningful to us.
And I understand that pattern hair loss is a large underserved market for both men and women. How big is this addressable opportunity?
So I think many people miss this, but pattern hair loss transcends being an aesthetic opportunity. It is deeply personal, it is deeply psychological, and it is essentially universal. It affects 80 million people in the United States. And of those 80 million people, right, that's 50 million men, 30 million women, for whom they have not had a new treatment in 30 years for males, never a new oral treatment for females.
And what have trial participants, what is some of the feedback that you're getting?
So really the feedback is what we saw in phase 2, which is that it's fast, which is something that is really an unmet need within the hair loss space, that it's consistent, right? The vast majority of people mounted a clinically meaningful response, and that people are getting robust hair growth, again, while this being tolerated, which is important, and an oral product. And we do think that oral therapeutics are very critical for the hair loss space, and that very few people want to apply a messy and cumbersome topical to their scalp for the rest of their lives, so much so that the existing topical options have discontinuation rates approaching 90%.
And what are some of the key milestones in the development of this treatment?
Yeah, so we're in a very, very exciting year from a clinical data perspective. We have 3 ongoing phase 3 trials. The first of those trials in males we anticipate will top line phase 3 data. So we'll get this initial bolus of data from more than 500 men in the first half of this year. The second male trial we anticipate will read out data in another 500 or so males in the second half of this year. And then we are enrolling the first ever phase 3 trial for an oral treatment for female pattern hair loss.
All right, Dr. Reid Waldman, CEO of Veradermics, thank you for joining us and congratulations.
Thank you.